Look at that. Right on time.
Sun's out. Guts out. What? We're doing it. We're live. What's up, everybody? Sorry, I was a little behind the scenes info. I was a tiny, almost a hair, a chainsaw thread late. Almost. But I made it. We're here. We're doing it. We're live.
Beard and I were just talking Star Wars. And I was like, I hope Colin's okay.
Yeah, no, like as I've mentioned before. Wait, is that the Outrider?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. I know it's kind of a cheap knockoff of the Millennium Falcon to some people, but I think it's the Millennium Falcon perfected. Ooh, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Would you go so far as to say Utini?
Utini. So yeah, what's happening, fellas? How y'all doing?
I'm all right.
Feeling it.
The quote ordinary sausage, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get ready to sausage. I'm all right. It's been a day.
Yeah. It's been a funky couple weeks for me myself, but I think things are on the mend. I think things are turning up. I'm excited to talk some Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. Huh? I love your glasses, by the way, Colin.
Thank you. Yeah, I know this is technically Macho Man glasses territory, but I was like, these look like saws of a chainsaw blade. So we're going with that.
Never go wrong with Macho Man, and Macho Man did play Bonesaw McGraw, which is Chainsaw adjacent.
I'll take it. I will take it. Let's start the fanfic where Bonesaw McGraw is the lost member of the Sawyer family, and he just traveled his way to New York and became a pro wrestler. And who knows what he did to his opponents afterwards in those matches? Maybe he ate some barbecue. Stabbed him like a slim. Yeah, loving it.
Like my
So we were gonna do this last week. We didn't do it. In order to make it for it's all good though. But in order to make it for last week, I crammed. I think it's like how many is it? Is it 8 or it's either 8 or 10? I'm losing count now. But I crammed all these.
Is 4, I believe.
Yeah.
And then remake. And then
remake.
The weird thing they did, like
remake, prequel to the remake.
That's right. There is a prequel to the remake.
Then there's direct sequel to the first one.
Last year, yeah.
No, but no. 3D is actually supposed to. Because then okay, all right. So everyone, if you're new to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, the timeline is the most convoluted thing ever.
It's Halloween levels fucked up.
It is. It's getting there. Because, so you got the first 2 movies directly connected. Third one is kind of like, did the second one happen? We don't know. Fourth one's like, the second and third could have happened. Then the fifth one, hard reboot, starting over. Sixth one, prequel to the reboot. Seventh one is Texas Chainsaw 3D, and that's like
that is a great commercial that was like instead of Excalibur coming out of the water, it was
that's for Texas Chainsaw 3. Oh, that is the best teaser ever. The camera pulls in on this big hulking lump that's Leatherface. He's looking out over this dingy, scungy pond. And all of a sudden, this lady of the lake hand comes up with a silver chainsaw, tosses it up to Leatherface, whoosh, 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 grabs it one-handed, immediately turns on, of course. Boom! Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Who absolutely adores John Borman's Excalibur. It's like one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
That's a great movie.
That trailer, like, it's got everything that's right with Excalibur.
Yeah! The whole, like, shiny metal sheen. And even that the
sword back into the lake and all that.
And even the filter they use to film that with is very
filter. Yeah, it's all there.
It's there. I never caught that till now. That's amazing, yeah, dude.
Beard, do you have any connection with this film at all?
Have
you seen it?
I mean, I've seen the original and I've seen the remake once.
Oh, you did see the remake.
Or whatever, the Rob Zombie, whatever you call that.
Oh, Zombie didn't do
Or not Rob Zombie. But I don't.
The one that
did it.
Marcus Nispel,
Yeah.
acclaimed music video director, you mean?
Sure.
The one that New Line did, the remake that or Platinum Dunes or whoever did.
Platinum Dunes, yeah. Michael Bay's. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were doing all the remakes and the entire of every horror movie you've ever heard of with Jared Padalecki.
Yes.
Oh, I did enjoy the Friday the 13th remake. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the best one that they did out of all those was Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. No,
that's
the campy nature of the first. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It might be better than the original, than the OG.
I'm right there with you. It's like when I think of solid like remakes that surpass the original, it's like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Darabont's The Blob.
Oh yeah, dude. We've talked about this before. I still feel there's that connection enough that it could be that's like kind of like requel in a way.
I don't think you're wrong,
but I think they did stay. It's a stone cold.
Yeah, it's
on its own thing. Yeah, but then I can't think of the guy who did the director for the remake of Hills Have Eyes. He's great. Yes. I think he did High Tension.
Yeah.
Yes. That I remember I went to the theater expecting kind of like, oh, this is going to be kind of like this, not to downplay Wes Craven's original, but it's a bit campy when you watch it now, even though there's some heavy, crazy themes
I always say, it's a campy flick, especially when you watch a sequel and even the dog has a flashback in the sequel. Wes got to get paid.
He's like, it didn't, yeah. And then, but yeah, like that, I was on the edge of my seat for that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
It got me.
I actually, and let's broach this right off the bat. I watched a horror thing about a month ago or something, and they posited an interesting thing. Are Tobe Hooper and Wes Craven overrated? Their thing with Craven is Craven had 2 successful franchises.
But
if you look at the rest of it,
they got successful without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that like the rest of his filmography, like it has some bangers in it, but nothing that was like insanely well is like you must see when people talk about horror.
And maybe an argument could be made with Scream. But even with those movies, I felt like it's hard because like the first Scream was great. Second Scream was all right. Yeah, I see what you're doing. And third one was just like, what is this? Like,
as they pointed out, was it Craven or was it Kevin Williamson who makes those movies?
Because
Has gone
okay.
On to continue to make like movies that made money.
He did.
Tobe Hooper, they were like, well, you could point at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but what are you going to point out next? Poltergeist?
And some people say that's more Spielberg than Hooper. Yep.
Spielberg, that's a, and I love Life Force, but Life Force is a super, 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 super like weird movie that you got to be down for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You need to be.
Yeah. And then you watch and you're like, what is happening? Kiss another dude.
Oh yeah. If you want to see Patrick Stewart making out with some fellas, pop on Life Force. You're in for a ride.
While being inhabited by a female space vampire.
Oh, and then how about some zombies that just explode into dust? What about that? Like,
I love this movie.
It's great.
It's visually
insane.
Stunning. It's the best, in my opinion. It's the best version of you seeing an outbreak in a city.
Oh yes, when towards the end when these space vampires,
it goes buck wild. It's like everything I wanted, and we got glimpses of in Dawn of the Dead, in the OG Dawn of the Dead, when they go into the housing tenement at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I wish the whole movie was this. But
it's insane. but it's like the best kind of insane. Although I can see why it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, because it's like, oh, space vampires who suck the life force out of people, then turn them into zombie husks. That it just gets wild and wilder. But it's great. And then like maybe our hero was a space vampire at one point. We don't know. Okay,
Well, Melinda Gay is like naked like the whole movie.
Yeah,
Which is also like when I was a kid and first saw, I was like, this movie rules.
yeah, that made a major impression on young Colin.
She is naked is in that movie as the female bad guy from Dario Argento's Conquest movie, is the entire movie, where she's got a giant bronze Destro head, but just boobies everywhere the entire movie. Like, put some clothes on, lady. You're about to fight a guy who's got stone nunchucks.
But even no Destro head, just walking around, giving smooches and stealing people's life forces. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Playing in that movie.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
we got you right. But
Beers,
yeah, no.
What the fuck is going on?
It's because I'll say this: compared to Wes Craven, I have much more of an affection for Tobe Hooper's catalog.
I think Tobe Hooper's catalog's probably more varied.
Yes,
probably less high low.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like in the middle than Craven stuff is, because Craven made some bad movies.
Yes, yeah. He has some, but then man,
friend anyone?
But now that I'm thinking of it, he had some really good, like,
Serpent in the Rainbow,
Serpent in the Rainbow.
I love Shocker unapologetically, but it's a bad movie.
It is. It's a terrible movie, but Mitch Pileggi he's chewing scenery in a way you never get to see after, and it's wonderful. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know, but I think you could say that. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I'm not big on Last House on the Left. That movie never impressed me at all. It's always been like.
No, that's I remember I rented that. My dad was somehow unaware of it, and he and I sat down and watched that together. Ooh, was that a mistake?
I saw it when I was 13, and
same age.
We rented that movie, and I Spit on Your Grave and watched them back to back, and I was like, I don't need
that's
more
brutal
for about a month. I gotta go literally scour my skin and to clean off this grossness.
Yeah, they're just those two are like I would put those
will literally make you ashamed to be a man, because you're like, men are gross. They're the worst. And
also, like, I'd say probably two of the most despicable pieces of exploitation cinema.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that hit more of a mainstream audience than some of the more underground stuff. But like, just like, I don't know, like, I know it's a thing that happens, but like using rape as a plot device is it's fucking gross. I'll just say that it's really distasteful. Like, I don't know, like, you don't need to make it the focal point of your revenge flick to show that women can have power. It's a weird.
I don't even think they do that. I mean,
no.
To me, it's like Last House on the Left doesn't even really do that.
No, that doesn't. That goes in a weird and like
Straw Dogs basically very similar.
Oh, God! I love Peckinpah's westerns. Like, they're masterpieces, but Straw Dogs is such a problematic movie. I remember, like,
to me, it's like in the same vein. It's like Home Invasion.
Yes. So Dustin Hoffman is your kind of bookish.
There's like a remake of it as well.
I never saw the remake because just the first time around, I was like,
see it again.
Yeah, I know what's going to happen.
Straw Dogs isn't in that rites of passage movie.
It is.
I don't think it is. I don't think it reaches like martyr.
Oh, you don't?
I think it's on the cusp of that, but I think Last House on the Left is. I think Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave. Those are in a category. I'm like, I don't need to see these again. I don't need to see a remake of them.
I'd say for horror aficionados, like, those two are definitely, at least Last House is kind of like a rite of passage one. I'd say for actual, like, the like cinephile, Straw Dogs can fall in there.
Yeah, I think
Although,
Straw Dogs falls that
but
category.
it's a rough watch once you like
is.
are like, oh, this is what's happening. Okay, like, and spoiler, it's a woman gets raped by a dude and she ends up loving it, and it's just you want to throw up like while you're watching. It's just, I don't know. Sam Peckinpah was a big old drunk and he made some wild choices. That's
so one thing I want to kind of Beard and I were talking about this beforehand. I don't. Is Chainsaw a proto slasher?
Ooh,
Or is it like, is it rural horror?
I'd go with
me, rural horror and folk horror kind of
have
a strange, like, tenuous connection.
It's it's
Deliverance. I don't consider a slasher. It is a rural horror.
No, it's I think more in line with it's folklore. This is the kind of it's that story you tell about, oh, there's this family in the hills or out in the back country and they did this and better watch out. It falls more in line with that, while slasher, I feel that
there's not a lot of stock kill in this movie.
No.
There's not a lot of stalking. It's just Leatherface shows up and people die.
And in the first couple Chainsaw movies, there's such an interesting dynamic with Leatherface that I think takes him out of being what you would consider like he's definitely a horror icon, but I wouldn't call him a slasher or anything like that. He's almost, I mean, not to jump ahead, but he's almost a victim of his family in the first couple of movies.
One of the things I had watched,
very interesting.
I watched a couple documentaries, and one thing I thought was interesting was Gunnar Hansen went to a state school, which back in the day, state schools are where they stuck.
Yeah,
they literally just stuck people with disabilities in state.
If you not to get off on a tangent, if you want to see real life, honest to God horror show about what these were like, and probably true to life, watch Cropsy, and for the archival footage of when like Geraldo Rivera uncovered that.
There's actually a movie about it, a documentary about it, Willowbrook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the name of the documentary, which is also the name of the state school in New Jersey or New York.
Jersey, I think, yeah.
Where Geraldo snuck in and took footage.
It's
the only great thing Geraldo's ever done, and it's
only good thing he's ever done. But
it's a good thing because he basically caused an entire nationwide revolution in the way that we treated, housed, and our expectations for the care of the disabled, especially people with developmental disabilities.
Yeah, it's more brutal than any of the Texas Chainsaw movies, like, because it really, this is real life. Like, it's just but
I used to use it as a teaching film.
Definitely.
So I've seen it way too often. But I always tell people, remember, the caregivers aren't the bad guys here.
No.
It's the people who cut their funding to the point where each individual was given 7 minutes to eat with assistance.
Yeah. Yeah, and man, yeah.
It's hard. It's a hard watch. Anyway.
But I had no idea Hansen actually.
He went to state school to like just watch the people who live there. And that's why you see a lot of, he's like, this is the body language that I adapted because I felt like that character either had a mental disability or had been browbeaten and had been physically abused to the point where he had no skills, or just just the nature versus nurture, and he had neither.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. I also got to point out, man, Gunnar Hansen thought he was some hot shit because like they came back to him for every sequel, and he was like, "I need more money than that."
Yeah, didn't he?
The second one, they came back to him, they said, "We're going to give you scale plus 10%," and he was like, "No." And then he said, "Why would you give? What's the 10%?" And they said, "It's for your agent." And he's like, "I represent myself." I said, "Why don't you come back with a better offer?" They came back 2 weeks later just with scale.
Oh,
And he
Connor.
was pissed about it. Every single time in this doc that I watched, they interview him and he talked about, well, I just couldn't meet my demands. In the fourth movie, he wanted a little bit more than scale, but he also wanted every single person on set to sign a consent so he could shoot a documentary and have complete rights to it during the filming of the movie. And the studio was like, no. Also, they were like, who the fuck are you? You've been in one movie, like, and you had no lines. Like, what are you doing? We show we can put the mask on fucking 2 other people and no one gives a shit.
Yeah. This Leatherface is not like Freddy Krueger. You can't just stick someone else in there and expect the same results. Like,
I think I was just.
I mean, you can stick some. Yeah.
In these interviews of him just being like, I made no money on this movie and I felt very, very betrayed.
Did he come back for? No, I know he makes a weird cameo in Texas Chainsaw 3D, which is the 7th one. Does he show up in 2?
I don't know.
Because I know 3 and 4 are completely different actors.
I know that I watched these 2 documentaries and all the interviews. I was just like, this guy's insufferable. Like, he's like every bad stereotype of small-time actor gets a role in a movie and then feels like A Star is Born, fuckers. You just need to recognize.
What we might want to call David Prowse syndrome.
Damn.
What? Hey, he was banned from every official Star Wars thing for a reason.
Hey, tell Colin when he starts telling lies. Tell him when he's telling lies.
Damn.
Because I don't hear no lies.
That's like that would be like me. It would be like me waiting for what's his name? God damn it, Peter Weller to die, and then start talking shit about him.
But you wouldn't dare, because Peter Weller's like goddamn national treasure. He's RoboCop. He saved Sting. He's
Buckaroo Banzai.
And he's Buckaroo Banzai. Most importantly. He's a good father figure.
He was that great millionaire in Cosmo, whose last name is obviously.
Oh yeah.
Is he was in that last episode of our second to last episode of Cabinet of Curiosities. He was in that.
He's great.
He's great.
He's wonderful. Naked Lunch.
Oh.
Woo! Let's talk about Scanners. What? Or not Scanners, Screamers. Oh my God, excuse me. Slip of the mouth. Screamers, based on a Robert Heinlein story. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm talking shit about him like a man, and you're dumping on David Prowse after he's dead. Come on, son.
If David Prowse's spindly frame was in front of me right now and he was alive and healthy, I'd say.
If he was alive and healthy, I'd say shit to his fucking his casket. I'd say it to him on his deathbed. I'd be like, "Why you be a dick on the Star Wars set?"
Yeah.
You could have had a career.
He could have. But instead he wanted to be like, you must get these people and take them out of here. No, I'm Darth Vader. Didn't work. You need James Earl Jones, baby.
I'm just saying, the man has an MBE. He deserves a little more respect than this.
I'm not disrespecting his MBE. I'm disrespecting him as an actor.
Yeah. He should totally be disrespected as an actor.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Created by Toby Hooper and Kim. Oh no! Oh! Okay. All right. And with that, we go cast yourselves back, ladies and gentlemen.
we did the stream version of the sliding door opening and him looking up and me hitting him in the head with a hammer. He shook for a little bit and then the door shut, which was him leaving.
You saw his feet kicking around, and then it
I
was
love
like
you, Beard, but no.
All right. So let's get into the nitty grit. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right. This I watched all these movies in about a 4-day period. Oh, and it was a brutal watch. Starts off
recently or
recently, last week.
You gotta remind me to like we should like watch these or get together and watch them.
Definitely
watch party or something.
Yes.
Because
we well with these ones it would definitely need to be a get together because like very few of these are on streaming and stuff like that. It's I was surprised to find like the first one and maybe I think like it was like the first one and then I think Tubi maybe had number 4, Next Generation, and then Netflix.
Tubi always be coming through.
Tubi comes through. Tubi is it's strange how that's becoming like my go-to for horror now, like even over Shudder. But it's happening.
I'm sure you do. You listen to like Decades of Horror.
Yeah. They're
always like, where'd you find it, Tubi?
Yeah.
You don't have to ask fully. Tubi just comes out the mouth.
Tubi is it's great. And it's something I held off for a while. It's like Tubi, what is this? And then everyone's like across like social media, like if you go to those little horror communities, like people like Tubi is the best. So get on that Tubi train, everyone. We're not getting Tubi, sponsor us. If you're listening, Tubi, sponsor us. Like I love the first 2 Texas Chainsaws. I love, no question. The first one is just this landmark of horror. Second one is this fun, bizarre experiment in horror comedy. Third one has a lovely young Viggo Mortensen. Fourth one is off the walls. Remake is brutal to a point that I love it. And then after that, it's just like dreariness for the most part.
I was talking to James about this before we started. I was like, because he was like, I haven't really seen any of these. I said, you got to watch 4.
4 is so fun.
For Renee Zellweger just acting her little heart out. And
really being earnest. And then juxtapose that Matthew McConaughey just chewing the scenery.
McConaughey is on.
He's been starving in the desert for like a month.
He's like turned his Nick Cage dial up to 11 in that movie. And it's awesome. It's so
amazing.
Good. It's like every intense cigarette smoking scene from True Detective where you just feel like McConaughey's going to go off the rails. It's like that's all the shit of him going off the rails, but it's like 15, 20 years previous.
Yeah, it's just the most.
He's like screaming about being the Lord of the Harvest and all. It's just.
Or where he's just sitting there going, and like smacking himself in the head, just making guttural weird noises, and you're just like, all right, let's do it.
I like that movie because Leatherface is the least creepiest part of that whole thing.
Leatherface is downright sympathetic in that movie. I think completely.
Leatherface, even in the second one, there's some with his weird kind of relationship with Stretch. Also, I think that's the thing why I have a hard time looking at Leatherface as a proto slasher. Now, I think that Texas Chainsaw in general helped set a lot of the rules for slasher movies. I think Black Christmas came out the same year. 74.
Yeah, 74.
Those movies, like I think, set the groundwork, and I do feel like when we see Leatherface later on, especially in remakes, he's a slasher. He's all of the empathy you could have for him.
It takes that turn as early as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 : Leatherface.
Yeah.
Like he's the one.
Kitty.
Searching.
Kitty.
There's a cat?
Right behind you on the other side.
Oh, oh, come here, Bodie. Oh, this is Bodie.
Hi,
Everybody.
buddy.
Hi. Yeah, like yeah, I would say in the first two movies, he's very much more he's a tool of his family more than
I,
he is
I,
like a willing protagonist
I always think of him as like
or antagonist.
a dog who has been trained to
That's
be a guard dog.
yeah, like there's
And
no
let
bad
no-
dogs, only bad owners, and he has had bad owners.
Now, I don't have a lot of empathy for the fact that the guy cuts people up to make food out of them. You know, I'm not giving up a pass on that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
He's very much a victim of his circumstances as well.
Like if I knew Leatherface, at least from the first two movies, if I knew his backstory and I was like given the chance, like, okay, you gotta like you can kill him or incarcerate him for life, I would choose incarcerate for life.
He's not
because this is
Myers.
no, he is not. He's not a soulless because like you even in that first one you see him he's reacting with fear. He's completely a reactionary. And when they get to that dinner scene in the first one, he is completely
Subservient.
yeah.
He's in the female gender role.
Yes, he dolls up. He puts on his makeup and everything, and he's mama.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting thing that you have who is the heavy, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
is also like the one I think physically you're most afraid of. Compared to other members of the family. And yet he's terrified of his siblings and his father.
And his siblings are it's I'm kind of hazy on if Drayton's the dad or a brother, but if we go with Drayton being the brother,
it could be a daddy brother for all we know.
You never know. But it's like in the first one, it's him and I can't remember the hitchhiker character, but the hitchhiker is his brother.
Yeah.
And they're these lanky, like non-imposing, like just like little wiry creeps, and then you've got this massive hulk of a mountain of muscle who does all this destruction. But then when you put him in the dynamics with his family, he is the scapegoat. He's the butt of the joke. He's the one who's getting kicked in the butt and told what to do. Which is it just totally when the first time you see that it just is such a I remember it was just like whoa wait what like it takes a little bit of the bite out of him and at the same time makes that family more deadly. You know.
Also, I just watched a movie called Darklands a couple days ago, which is like a cult like 90s pure 90s version of the Wicker Man kind of. And by that, I mean not a good version.
Yeah.
But I just realized there's some very cultish stuff in this movie as well.
Yeah. Well, that gets...
I think it's such a weird movie. It's hard to categorize. I think, like you said, once you hit like 3, though, it's just... Once you hit that, colon Leatherface, you're just a slash. You're just Jason Voorhees now.
Oh yeah. No, then he is in that one. He is. It takes on such a weird dynamic because in that one, like Leatherface has a daughter. It's like, oh, so Leatherface like he fucks now? Okay. Oh, what? That's weird. And like he's not the leader. But he's just not messed with.
Yeah.
He is not, no one messes with him. And he is the one to go out and take charge. It's no longer dog will hunt. It's like he's the hunter going for it.
It loses its kind of quirky interest to me. Then now you're just a group of Jasons.
Yeah.
You're Jason and his buddies. Which I don't find interesting at all.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, for the third one, when it does lean into that much more generic slasher vibe, but there are some things that I do love that it pops up, like it brings up the character of a mother, which the matriarch then becomes a mainstay throughout the rest, or at least there is a female presence in the family throughout the rest. Especially in the remakes, it becomes a big focal point.
But I think but that's the interesting thing about those early. That's not there.
Yeah,
pushed upon somebody and imposed upon them, and it makes them again more interesting.
I'm with you.
So let's talk a little bit about like inspiration. I mean, I think everybody knows Ed Gein is kind of
that. So yeah, in case you aren't aware, a big inspiration for this is Ed Gein. He was a serial killer from Wisconsin, I believe, in the 1940s. Killed I think at least 2-3 people. But what was the most heinous thing was he was a grave robber and fashioned furniture, upholstery, and clothing out of people's flesh. Had a belt made out of nipples. All sorts of craziness. Good old Eddie Gein. What is he up to? But yeah, so major inspiration. And then the other thing I heard was one day, good old mild-mannered, little lovable Toby Hooper was in a hardware store. He was in line, and he was just having the worst time sitting there waiting to get through. And he was looking around, and he saw a chainsaw, and he's like, if I just had that, I could just cut through this.
I would also say if you're a comic book person, Eric Powell just did a comic called "Did You Hear What Ed Gein Done?"
Yes, I just ordered that. I've read like a few of the, not the full thing, but what I read was superb, really good.
Novel, I'm not sure if it's what exactly the format is. I trust Eric Powell to do a good job, so yeah, I know he's got a real fascination with stuff like this. But yeah,
I think isn't it him and Harold Schechter?
Yeah,
and Harold Schechter. If you ever want to get on, just he's a superb true crime author that just covers one of the best books, true crime books I've read in a while. I think it's called Princess of Hell, if I'm not mistaken, but it's about a serial killer named Belle Gunnis from turn of the century, I believe, Wisconsin, this hardy Swedish woman who.
Oh, I've heard about her.
Yes, it's amazing story.
Were pigs, right?
Yep. Would get husbands, mail off would put these advertisements in newspapers, being like, "I'm looking for a husband who can help me work the farm." And then she's, look at this buxom, wholesome woman, and then boom, fed to the pigs, and wild.
You worked your way through like 5 husbands.
Yeah. Her body was never found. Her farm mysteriously burned down one night. No trace of her, but they did find a whole pit of bodies. And that,
Didn't she kill her kids too?
Killed her. Yeah, everyone. They found her children's bodies. They did not find Belle's, but they found plenty of old husbands, lovers, and people who would come and lend a hand on the farm for a little day's pay, maybe.
Which also, like, to me, shoots the theory of women, lack of women serial killers. Like,
they're just
rocking out back then. The key, and I had heard this in an Ed Kemper interview, where he had said, "You guys keep saying there's no female serial killers. Female serial killers just don't get caught.
They don't.
I got caught because I wanted to get caught."
Yes, there's a really from just kind of all the different. I'm a big serial killer podcast aficionado guy, but like the through line that I've kind of gathered, and that seems to be kind of consensus, is male serial killers really have a need to be like, look what I'm doing.
It's narcissism.
Check me out. Lady killers are like, I don't want to get caught. Like, I'm not trying to, like, no, I'm not going to crow about this. I'm not going to send letters into the newspaper to make them think I'm some smart, like, it's just, I'm killing you. And that's it. So hats off, ladies.
Hell yeah.
Way to go.
This one's for the ladies.
This one's for the ladies. Let's hear it for the girls. Let's give the girls a hand.
How much do you feel Psycho played a part in what we get in Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
That would have to be, I'd say, gosh,
I mean, whether consciously or subconsciously.
To look at, I think Psycho is definitely an influence on so many movies. You can even see it here. I mean, to get onto Psycho for just a second, I mean, that came out. That was like shocking on a level. The only other movie I can think of that I've heard people
hashtag girl boss.
Girls. Like the only other movie there's two movies I've heard people just absolutely lose. Okay, three. I'll say that when they saw them in theaters, they just lost it completely. Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, and Exorcist. Those movies just fucked with people on such a deep level.
Yeah.
They broke so much ground for horror. They introduced so many ideas that were kind of unsaid things that would never have made it to the screen. And they just played on such primal kind of fears, like Psycho. You're attacked in the shower and it's a beep, beep, beep. That was so intense for the time. Jump to Night of the Living Dead, flesh-eating corpses that are going to eat you. That was the first time that was really, I mean, you could say maybe children shouldn't play with dead things kind of got in that area, but Night of the Living Dead realized that.
I think Night of the Living Dead came out before that.
Did it? Okay. I'm not completely clear on that, but I always felt like Night of the Living Dead was the one that broke that zombies, because before that zombies were
they were Haitian
voodoo spells. I'm a person who's under a spell and I can get out of it. Ghouls that ate your flesh.
I'm savable.
Yeah, like that was so new. And then Exorcist with the deep religious stuff. Like, I mean, the effect of the Exorcist, like people all of a sudden, like exorcisms and church attendance like flew up the roof. People all of a sudden started getting scared again of like spiritual stuff. It was so definitely you see the DNA of Psycho in this. I think just with the kind of viciousness, but also leaving so much up to the imagination of that viciousness.
Did Block take some of Norman Bates though from Ed Gein?
Eddie Gein. Oh yeah.
I wonder if that's those are the strands of DNA that I'm connecting.
Definitely that, and definitely the I mean the Leatherface donning the woman's skin to play the mom, and Norman Bates being his mom. There's
the ancestral worship of either dead or should be dead body.
Definitely
there's some really interesting parallels, but I think the big thing is, like, again, I don't feel like Chainsaw has a lot of stock kill in it, whereas I feel like Psycho's got some stalking in it, like some straight up like I'm stalking you.
Norman's definitely yeah. Oh yeah. It is. And you can even say Norman's a sympathetic character in a little bit of the same vein that Leatherface is, especially when you get in the sequels and you see what his upbringing was.
Yeah.
Norman is definitely playing a cat and mouse game, while Leatherface, especially in the first one, if those kids just did not go on that property, go into that house, you wouldn't have this movie. But they intruded and they went too far, and they made this guy probably feel unsafe, and he reacted out of fear more than anything. And then later, he set out on the hunt by his family to correct and get all these people. And yeah, like
Are
like
there
he
are there
yeah.
movies you can point to that you feel have like more modern movies, like the last 5-10 years, that you feel have direct DNA from Chainsaw, where you're like, you can point to a movie and say, this definitely has that feel? Or I have one in particular I'm thinking of where I'm like, this looks like it was shot like the person who shot this movie was like, I want to shoot this like Texas Chainsaw.
What do you got?
X for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's some serious DNA in there, I feel like. There was another one that just ran away from me as well. That has that kind of gritty, grimy, in the, you know, going somewhere where
I would say California with Brad Pitt.
There was another one I just had it. It just walked away.
Oh,
it makes me mad, but I can't think of it.
But yeah, no, that and I guess I bring up California because when you say oh shit, what was it you just what was the movie you just gave?
Oh, X.
Yes, it's Chainsaw X, California for me. That simmering, sweaty, grimy, oppressive southern heat feel, and you're with a rural class of folk.
Plus, Pearl has a little bit of that kind of Leatherface thing going on, where it's like there's an inciting
Pearl is a victim, such a victim.
Until you see Pearl, and then you're like,
yeah.
He's a victim, but she's also a victim. She woke up and chose violence.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Now I want to watch Pearl because that's just a wonderful movie. Go see Pearl if you haven't seen it, folks, and then watch X.
Well. Yeah, I would recommend seeing X.
The X first. Yeah, that is the way I saw it. I just always throw Pearl now because the prequel, but like to see X and then get the punch of Pearl after that, it's just like, oh.
They're night and day movies that fit together like chocolate and peanut butter, though. I'm really intrigued to see what Maxine's going.
Oh, I'm
kind of wondering if we're going to get a more like 80s cocaine fueled, even more so version of American Psycho. Like, I kind of feel like that might be.
Like she goes on like a full break.
Yeah,
and just
Ty West takes it.
I'm down with that.
It's Ty West, right? Am I got the director for that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Ty West.
Directors in that group that I kind of sometimes get a little bit mixed up. So
yeah, and I'm a big time Ty West fan. House of the Devil.
Yeah, it's great.
Is one of my favorite films of this century. I love The Innkeepers. It's a funny movie until like the last 10 minutes, and then he flips it into one of the most spine-tingling ghost stories. And
to me, Innkeepers was kind of like where Shaun of the Dead does the thing inside the bar when mom gets bit, and it goes, oh, by the way, for the next 15 minutes, it's going to be a Romero movie.
Yeah,
it's a zombie movie now, like a real.
movie.
Or Behind the Mask, where we go from the moment it switches where Leslie's like basically Showtime and the documentary crew is no longer shot like a documentary, and you they realize, oh fuck, we're what they are in the story. We're no longer on the outside.
This isn't our tale to tell. This is Leslie's, and he's about to write the ending. Yeah, it's
again one of those genius things that I that's a movie that I wish people saw because it's
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is that one-shot movie that deserved to be that like 8-movie franchise. It's so good. And it's acted superbly on every level, and it might be even better that it never did get those sequels or anything. but it's
wildly accessible too, as far as that's a movie you can show to non-horror fans.
They will get it,
and they'll walk away from it having enjoyed it.
Yeah,
because they'll be like, "Oh God, that was funny." Like it was.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's very aware of what it is. It sends up tropes of horror wonderfully, and then it leans into them.
Minutes is like, guess what?
Yeah, this isn't what you thought.
It's a character who falls in the vein of like Freddy. Freddy became a character who you kind of slightly rooted for.
I'd say it's reverse Freddy.
But yeah, I disagree. I still found myself at the end going, kind of hope Leslie pulls this off.
What?
He's such a delightful.
He's so charming. That actor has.
He's so earnest about what he's doing. It's like he means it with all of his heart. He wants it so badly, and when you're like.
Yeah, and for backstory for anyone who's never seen Behind the Mask,
it's worth tracking.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was gonna explain it, but just see it, watch it. It's a treat. It's an absolute treat. It's filled with some unknowns, but also some very familiar character actors, and everyone has their charm meter dialed up to 11, and you're gonna have a big smile on your face. And then for the last 10 minutes, you're going to be like clutching a pillow, maybe holding on to a blanket as tight as you can. And then when the credits roll, you'll smile big.
Of all time as well.
Yeah.
Music choice, and then the CCTV footage and like how everything evolves. And you're like, you're not sure if what you think is going to happen happens. And when it happens, you go, yep, I'm so glad that happened.
Yeah, it's it's a gem of a movie, and it is one of those criminally underseen ones. But yeah, love it to death.
It's a movie that whenever it gets brought up, I find that I'm just like, I don't want to talk about anything else. I just want to talk about this movie.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So getting back to that, so you said California. Is there anything else you can think of that you feel like has done a really good job of grabbing a hold of that? You know, I have such a hard time.
You know, I want to say Deliverance, but Deliverance really isn't horror. You know,
I think X has some of it, but I think X also kind of turns into a slasher in the last
it does
40 minutes, unless into like.
Yeah, and you know, I
especially is like so dementedly psychedelic, disturbing. Like it's just disorienting.
Just watching it the other day, I was so impressed just by for such a young filmmaker, and I think this was his first full. Was it second? Okay, but
I think it was his first full
feature.
Full feature though.
It's incredible. There's beautiful shots, the way he frames things, and just when Sally is at the mercy of the Sawyers, you feel the claustrophobia, you feel the panic, you feel the overwhelming sense of dread and madness that is overtaking her as she's seeing all the, because the first time you see this, it's a trip, and as every new horror literally gets wheeled out in front of her, it's so intense. And
I feel like that is the true horror of that movie than the actual killings.
Yes. Oh yeah. No.
The killings are really quick. They're real brutal, and you don't really see a lot.
You don't see the violence. That's something about this movie is you don't see violence. You see the moment before the strike, but you never see the impact. Yeah. It's all left up to your imagination, and sometimes that doesn't work. But when you get someone who masterfully crafts this, like Tobe Hooper did with this, you're seeing the meat hook go into someone's back. You're seeing that sledgehammer make contact with that person's skull. And even though they're not showing that to you, and it's it hits you on every primal level, and especially like once the major violence of like what Leatherface is doing goes, and you are just caught in this house of horrors that's filled with bones and maniacs, and many people have tried to capture this sense, and especially Rob Zombie. Like by literally also ripping off the whole sequence with Sally's eye and giving that to the one father in House of a Thousand Corpses, but doing it for like 10 minutes too much longer than he should have.
I think there's a lot of Argento in that though too, which is just like how much eye horror can I give you? How much eye dread. But I do feel like Rob Zombie was like, I'm going to make the most 90s version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre humanly possible. And in that, if that was the mission statement, you've succeeded, Robert. But the problem is it's just not good. It's very, very okay.
Yeah.
It's a movie that I remember seeing and be like, that's it? Okay.
There's a lot of things to like about House of a Thousand Corpses, but the overall
I'd love to hear them.
Well, I mean, like I okay.
I think it's got a definitive visual flair.
Captain Spaulding is I think that's a wonderful character.
Don't you feel like there's a little bit of Rob Zombie?
Okay.
I feel like Rob Zombie falls in the same category that Tarantino falls into a lot of time, where it's like, let me show you how smart I am by my dialogue.
Oh,
where it's like self-masturbatory, like look how witty my dialogue is, and it's like, but it's just.
But here's the thing, though, and I'll say this as someone who defends the Firefly's Rob Zombie movies. Tarantino actually makes you interested in that dialogue. Rob Zombie does not. You're just like, shut the fuck up. But also,
Tarantino does about 75% of the time. The other 25% of the time, I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like, and you know what? Actually, I might have to walk this back. Like, I think it's not really the characters; it's more the actors that he chose to put in those roles.
What I always say is, love what you want, love, because like I may not like it, but it's got fans. I mean, I don't hate it. Like, it's a movie that I think it was definitely oversold by the fact that it was like put on the shelf for so long. As this like
like it was falls off it made a mythology before it came out.
I was like, yeah, this is just Texas Chainsaw, but less scary and just more like shock rock.
It's trashy Texas Chainsaw, which is really weird to say.
It's Rob Zombie's wheelhouse. Is like trailer trash, Halloween. It's like, offends you, and I feel like when he tones it back down, like I love Lords of Salem. Lords of Salem was his best movie.
Lords of Salem it's unlike anything else he's done.
It's super subdued.
It's so strange because, okay, like, I guess like for House of Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, it's not so much like the actual there's visuals in it that work. There's kind of like character design that works, and some moments, but it all falls apart. But
again, I do agree with you. The actors who were chosen to be in that movie helped make the movie.
Yeah, the first time I saw The Devil's Rejects, I was like, this is I was so on board for all the depravity and stuff, and knowing full well, like, I'll probably never watch this in full again. This is, especially for the motel assault scene, like, I'm good. But like, there's some genuine strokes of genius in there, like that strange little music video he makes out of Otis and Baby Firefly escaping, set to the Allman Brothers. Not going to catch Midnight Rider. Yeah. Midnight Rider. It's one of my most favorite pieces of cinema set to music. It's a beautifully shot scene.
I do think that Mosley and Sid Haig and Sherry Moon Zombie, they make that movie go.
They do. And that's weird to say about Sherry Moon Zombie, that she can make anything go.
But I think
outside of Rob Zombie's libido.
But I think again, Lords of Salem, she's really good in that movie.
But yeah, and it's so that's
bouncing off of other very good actresses for the most
that
part.
might be it too, because you've got it's a murderer's row of female actresses. Like you've got Dee Wallace and Dee Wallace, and it's the most subdued of all of Rob Zombie's movies. Everything is it's so ethereal and dreamlike, even the movie itself too. And
it's kind of got a little bit of an Argento feel to it, as far as like, it doesn't need to make sense, because in those Dario Argento, in that certain run of Argento movies with Suspiria, the Three Mothers trilogy, it's like, it doesn't need to make sense. Look how pretty.
Oh no,
it's dreamlike. Everyone says that it's almost like a fairy tale. I feel like it's Rob Zombie, Lord of Salem is his Argento movie from an American perspective.
I'd go with that for sure. It definitely has a completely different tone from everything else he's done outside of like the Munsters. Because everything else is so leans into that, like, I don't know, Southern Fried Skis, I guess is
trailer park chic.
Just thinking of the Halloween movies, like.
And see, that's the thing about the Halloween movies. I don't hate them, but I will say they're most successful for me when he's not just reshooting Carpenter stuff.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff, I mean, I don't care much for Michael's father being a shitbag and his mom, but I love the stuff in the asylum. I love young Michael. I love him like trying to figure out like why is this wrong? And then there's no real reason why it's wrong. I also think that unfortunately Malcolm McDowell can't hold
Donald
Pleasant's jock as Loomis. I find him again, Zombie.
He's not a sympathetic Loomis.
No, he's a completely antagonistic Loomis. It's all about self-interest, where I feel like, to me, the interesting thing about Loomis, especially with Pleasance, the first couple movies before he gets blown up in the second one and somehow survives.
He's got that scar.
Is how much he's like, I realize what this is, and now I'm no longer treating it. I'm more like keeping it contained.
Because
when it gets out, this is what happens. I really like that kind of role that he plays in that.
Definitely more of a there's more of a nobleness to him.
There's a palpable feel of like he sacrificed everything when he realized what this was, and how he couldn't let it out, so it turned into like, I'm literally just the jailer for evil. You can't reason with it. It's just fucking evil. And I really, really like that. But again, we're not talking about Halloween. We're talking about
we're going all over.
Yeah, no, but I think that's the beauty of when we do these is
I love this.
It's like we start with the subject and things just go as they should. But getting back to Chainsaw.
Yeah.
When it would be an appropriate time to show Chainsaw to somebody? Like, is there an age, or even if it's someone who's just getting into horror, how do you spring Texas Chainsaw Massacre on somebody?
That's hard.
I saw it far too young.
Oh yeah, no. I saw the first two back to back one night when I was 7, and I had terrifying nightmares for a week of Leatherface just exploding out of my closet with a chainsaw. So maybe don't show a 7-year-old.
I saw Halloween that young, but I didn't see Texas Chainsaw Massacre until probably like 10 or 11. And again, it's mom and pop video store where you could go in and they rent you anything.
Oh yeah, you just, as long as you got money, you get whatever you want, except probably for the adult section. But probably. Maybe.
But I remember
shout out to JC Video, Hibbing, Minnesota.
I remember seeing this and just being like being unable to fully decipher it, like understand what I was seeing as a kid, but knowing like this isn't like Freddy Krueger, this isn't Freddy, this isn't.
This felt
Jason,
more real.
Yeah. Like I don't think it hurts at the beginning of the movie. They're like, this is a true story.
Oh,
John Larroquette's amazing voiceover work.
Yeah, no, that I was certain for the longest time until basically probably the internet came around so I could actually look this shit up. I was certain this was based on like real factual. There was a dude who actually,
I remember asking my dad, like a couple months later after he found out we rented it, and he was like, well, what did you think? Because my dad loved horror movies. I was like, it was fucking terrifying. It's true. You know, it was a true story. I mean, my God, we go to Texas sometimes on vacation, and well, he's like, it's not true. It's not true at all. It's loosely based on some other stuff that happened like in a couple different places and nowhere near as nasty. He's like, so don't like freak out about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then we had a conversation, like he explained who Ed Gein was, and I was like, that shit's real? And him being like, that really happened. Like, but I mean, having a conversation with him about it, because he was more like, why was this scary? I'm always very honest about the scariest movie I saw as a kid was a movie called Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
That's terrifying.
That movie to this day bothers me. Halloween bothered me for a very, 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 very long. Halloween and The Blob bothered me. The original OG Blob I saw when I was about 5. And
Black and white Blob?
It scared the shit out of me. I ended up knocking myself out because we were being babysat on Halloween because my parents were at a Halloween party and my sister was a baby. And my babysitter asked me to go upstairs and get something. We were just finished watching The Blob. And I ran up the stairs and we had hardwood floors. And on the way back, and it's dark up there. I'm running. I'm getting stuff. I'm running down and I just slipped on the step and knocked myself out. My parents had to come home because I had a concussion. Probably the first concussion maybe I ever had.
Oh no.
And it's scary. It's just like The Blob scared me for a long time. And I don't know why. It's not a scary movie. But it scared the shit out of me. And then I was probably about the same year I saw Halloween. I saw Magic. I remember my parents, it was on HBO, home box office.
Yeah.
And it came on and my dad was like, you can stay and watch this. And I remember watching it like this the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, being fucking scarred by that dummy.
The voice of that hippity hop, we put it to bed. Magic is fun when you're dead. Oh, God. Watch the trailer for that. The trailer gave me chills. Because I can't remember what we were. I saw that at a young age, and I'd seen the trailer first somehow on some old VHS, like someone in my family had, and then we popped that in next, and it was just like,
fuck you guys.
Yeah.
What's the movie that Argento had, the dummy that walks out and the guy cracks it? Is that Deep Red?
Oh,
I could probably just Google Argento movie with dummy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know why Tenebrae is coming up because I think that's wrong for me to be thinking that.
Is it Phenomena? I think it's Deep Red.
Phenomena is the one. Isn't that the one with Jennifer Connelly with the bugs?
With the bugs and the monkey with the straight razor.
Yeah. Shout out to movies with monkeys and straight razors. Monkey Shines.
Oh, Monkey
many
Shines.
others.
Monkey Shines is another movie that I saw, and I was like, this movie's creeping me the fuck out.
Have you watched it recently?
Way underrated Romero movie. I watched it a couple years ago. I
was sucked in to the drama of this man who's now disabled trying to get his life back. And then all of a sudden this monkey comes in. I love that movie now on a whole level I never did. It's great. It's wonderful.
It's a movie that I think bugged me when I was younger, and then when I got older, I grew to appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And get back our earlier conversation about Toby Hooper and Wes Craven. When you see that and you see like Martin.
Martin's a weird movie.
You go, oh wait, Romero was like on a different level.
He was. He,
and that's where I'm like, when someone poses those questions about like Toby Hooper and Wes Craven, are they overrated? I'm like, well, yeah, like comparing to like Carpenter or Romero, I'm like, yeah, they were overrated. I mean, they made
yeah. Oh my God, there's so many people in horror auteurs that should be household names like Wes Craven, like Mick Garris, Stephen. Oh my
Stephen
God, never
Norrington?
mind.
Stephen Norrington, is that?
I'm
Did he
the
do
guy who
Friday
did.
movie? No.
He did Friday. Stephen Miner.
Stephen Meyer.
He's although you might want to take him off the list because when he did the Day of the Dead remake starring Ving Rhames and Nick Cannon and Mina Savari that has a vegan zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man, like I don't know. And now just to get back on that, I would say that like Craven might be overrated, actually, for sure. And Hooper, maybe not rated enough.
It was Deep Red.
Okay.
I just had to do a little digging as we were talking.
Good.
So when you look at the pantheon of like your like top 10, where does Chainsaw fall?
Chainsaw.
Well, first of all, let me get your answer. I guarantee this is not a like newcomer film, in my opinion. Where do you like? When will Killian be old enough where you can go Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Here you go, kid. Someone who you're friends with who doesn't like horror, at what point are they deep enough in the water you can show them this movie and have them enjoy it? That's the key, I think, is enjoying it. Because I know I didn't as a kid.
It's weird to say. I think this might be the most accessible. The first one might be the most accessible out of all of them.
Oh, I agree with that completely.
And to be on, I think this is something. This could be one of those first timer movies. To be honest,
really,
I really do. I mean, there's definitely softer fare out there for horror. Like I think of like Lady in White. I think of Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Behind the Mask.
Even Behind the Mask. But like, this is. I think as long as you're like, this is going to be. This is going to be a.
Would you show this to somebody before you show them Psycho?
Oh.
Or before you show them Halloween?
Oh God.
See, when you start, I start like in my head, I start going through like, when does this movie pop up in the conversation of showing either someone who I'm introducing to horror or someone who is young? I start to go, man, Chainsaw gets pushed back into like, it's not beginner horror. It needs to be you need to be in the middle. You need to like have a little bit of like the ability to go, oh wait, that's not like, this is not what I thought it was. This is a different beast.
Maybe I'm a little edgelordy, but I'd put it in my top 5. I would. I'd say this is like, it's weird because like it's not my favorite of the series. Number 2 is. Number 2 strikes this sweet spot with me of like absurdity, but also like there is pure terror. Like Leatherface Leatherface and Chop Top when they first encounter Stretch. It's some scary shit to me. But
because if those two guys are dressed normally,
yeah,
that's stuff that probably happens.
Yeah,
which is fucking terrifying.
It is. I would put this. It'd be tough. It's something oh gosh, I actually maybe I have to watch because like I'm trying to think like if what I would show to my kids.
Not
Um,
so much, I got a feeling you'll show it to him. I'm thinking about age. Like, when was the age for you to go, let's sit and watch this? This is a movie I love. I want to share it with you.
a good age where I think someone could handle this, and or I'd be like, okay, this would probably be the best age where you wouldn't maybe get nightmares from this, and I could explain the context where you'd I'd say, shit, okay, 12.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
But I think that you have to have a little bit of horror under your
and
belt.
only to someone who's got the appetite for horror and wants to take that trip.
But
Like, I would not.
This is not a horror appetizer. This is a horror meal.
Yeah,
Some of those accessibility movies, I consider those like those are gateways. Like Behind the
the
Mask.
gate.
Yeah, well, yeah. Behind the Mask, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Those are movies that will whet your appetite to oh, I'm kind of
Yeah.
this.
Maybe even Christine.
Yeah, I would put Christine in that category.
It's got a kind of a fable-esque fairy tale quality.
Movie I forgot to say, which I think does pull Toby Hooper away from overrated, is Salem's Lot.
Oh, I forgot he did. And for a TV movie.
Yeah, Salem's Lot.
Wow.
But Salem's Lot is a great gateway horror.
Also, I think that's incredibly underrated. People don't give that the credit it needs.
No,
I think people often forget that was a made-for-TV movie.
That movie fucked me up as a kid, and it's so
terrifying.
Good. Yeah, it's still
terrifying.
Every year, it's so good.
The kid at the window, Jennifer, or what? Juliette Lewis's dad. I can't remember what his real name is. He's the grave digger when he gets tranced when he's. That movie hit me on a weird, and the vampire in it, Barlow, is wonderful.
James Mason.
Yes, James Mason.
I think that that to me is a good gateway horror.
Yeah, I guess I could.
I look at Chainsaws it's not hitting. To me, it's like that set. I look at horror in 4 waves. And Chainsaw is in wave 2. It's this is a movie that's a little more advanced. It's not expert level and it's not master class. But it's definitely this movie is not what you think it's going to be.
No. Yeah. And I think I like your approach to it more as it's not an appetizer. It's definitely not let's wet your beak with this. Thinking about it, it really is one of those things that maybe you should pull off. Because I'm thinking I did see this young, but I was also very much into monsters and all that by that time that I'd seen it. Monster Squad was a fun movie for me to watch when I got home from school. If you haven't seen Monster Squad, well, go watch Monster Squad. It's wonderful.
There was a summer when I was a kid where the movie theater did 50-cent movies, and we would go every 5th day, and we would watch. I think I watched Dragnet, Monster Squad, and Transformers the movie about 100 times that summer.
That sounds like a wonderful summer.
Here's 50 cents, and they would, it was the best. But I mean, I think that this type is the type of movie where you definitely it's definitely ripe for I think it's a necessity to show to someone.
It is. It's an essential.
Yeah, it's an essential. I do agree with that. I think maybe sometime it would be a good idea to just start putting together an essential list, our own appendix.
We should. Yeah, no, I think that'd be a wonderful thing for us to do, is curate what our essentials would be. Here's our wave 1 and go through it film by film.
Yeah.
And our wave 2, whatever. Here's your beginners, intermediates, masterclass. This, it's an essential, but I am rethinking it. It is. It's such an essential that I think that I'm probably one of those people who would be in a rush to be you gotta see this, you gotta, without thinking oh, this is a bit of an assault on just the viewer.
I think that's why I would be a little less inclined to throw it at somebody early, because I think it's a weird bait and switch. You think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. I mean, and then there's not a lot of blood, but it, like you said, it is a assault on your senses as well as your mentality. It's a very psychotic movie, and it attacks you in a way you don't expect, and it's weird, and it's whiny, and I think it's not for everybody, and that's cool. It's not. It's it's good.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's PG.
Maybe that's a good question.
It might.
Let me
like, but it's. I mean, like, you don't see too much. I mean, and this is PG for like 74, so that was like either PG or R.
How many kids did you kill? Only 2. All right, PG.
Okay. Yeah. Like, and was one of those in a wheelchair? Okay, well, it was all right. Shout out to Franklin, everyone's most favorite character across all of. It is rated R. Ah, dang it! I thought it was PG for some.
To get it to PG.
Okay, that's where maybe I got it crossed. But like, yeah, they
as an X, and they had to do a bunch of cuts.
Yeah, well, there's so much cut out of the violence that, like, yeah, the violence is majority in your head, what you're making up of what they cut away from, and man, Toby and Kim Henkel as co-creator and co-writer, they did such an amazing job of putting you right into Sally's shoes as she's just going through a night of hell. And
I highly recommend watching some of the documentaries about it, because they went through hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was not a pleasant shoot. No. Yeah. That could be why we get, like, because I was just thinking, like, what a gold mine that Toby Hooper hit on. Like, I mean, not many of the actors went on to become names outside of, like, Sally, Marilyn Burns, who played Sally, but only, like, basically in the horror genre. But these are all great actors. They're all nailing their roles. Not one of them is unbelievable in any way. You might say, like, Franklin maybe goes a little over the top when he's doing his. Like,
I think it needs to.
Yeah, but it makes you
very uneasy.
Yeah, it's just for what's always thought of as such a bloody movie. It's such a violent movie. It's really more an exercise in psychological terror.
Yeah, I think
it really is.
To me, it falls in the same boat that Halloween does, where you expect so much bloodshed in Halloween. The first Halloween is relatively bloodless. Now, it does not lack violence, but it's relatively bloodless.
That, I think, works more on the tension from scene. Halloween is so tense, and in this vein, this movie is very tense, but it's not. It's where you're waiting for that.
Oh, you froze, buddy. I wonder if we just lost Colin.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. All right. But I don't know where I left off. But anyways, I was Halloween, very tense. You're waiting for that killer to pop up, and the tension is like, what new thing is going to assault me next? Because everything's flying at me, and, like, you're just on edge.
But I also think they're, like, very different. You can see the difference in the directors, because Carpenter made a movie for very little money that looks like it was made for a bunch of money.
Yeah,
the aspect ratio shooting, it's the very clean style. It feels, and he sets it in suburbia. It's supposed to feel like this could happen next door.
Yeah,
Chainsaw feels like it was shot for nothing, and it looks like it was shot for nothing.
Chainsaw is gritty, grimy, but that also works so much for it.
Exactly. And when you say something that's based on a true story, and then it's shot like a documentary, it adds to the absolute abject terror it inspires and how
Yeah.
unsettling it is. Like I said, Halloween has got a bunch of suspense.
Hmm.
Chainsaw, there's suspense, but it's very,
And
very limited. It's very
and
much like
suspense.
it's
Yeah,
just moments that hit you really hard.
yeah. And,
Chainsaw, Halloween is suspense. Chainsaw's dread.
yeah, and Halloween also does a thing where you at moments you get to follow the killer. You see what he's doing. You might not be in his headspace. You are the victim in Chainsaw, and you are being assaulted as much as Sally is being assaulted, as much as any of them are. It's quick, it's sudden, it's in your face. It's ah. Michael Myers, slow, plotting. He'll get you, but it's
Everything's deliberate.
yeah, like
Chainsaw is chaotic, and
yeah,
then you get into Halloween. It's absolute deliberate. Everything
yeah,
feels like it's going to come. Like there is a preordained ending, and it's coming.
yeah.
And again,
You can almost feel the steps of the story. Like
I
we're
think
going
again,
here, we're going here.
It falls to the whole, Carpenter saying that it was originally a Western, and it's a 3-act Western. The villain is coming, the villain is coming, the villain is here. I think
He's always wanted to make a Western, and he's never gotten the chance. And
he's made a lot of movies that feel like Westerns.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think that with Chainsaw, it just feels unhinged.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Toby Hooper grabbed a tiger by the tail, and then off and running we went.
Yeah.
And I think that's like there are movies that I think people would equate to one another, but they're far ends of a spectrum for one another in the best way possible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, totally right there with you, man.
Colin.
Yes.
What do you got going on? Where can people find you? Who you be with?
I be with you. I be here. I be doing things. If anyone is interested, you can find me on Xbox Live, Chef C Rock. I've been playing a little Diablo 4 lately. If you want to find me on BattleNet, I'm Eustace85, EUSTICE 85. Otherwise, yeah, catch me around on Known World United. I'm trying to make my presence a little bit more. These darn kids, though. These kids. They keep it's like they want me to be their dad. So that sometimes gets in the mix, but I'm hoping to make some more
dad if I've already got other people that I'm dad to.
But I'm hoping to make my appearance is more frequent on here. Hopefully get some more gaming stuff going on here as well. Definitely want to hopefully I'm going to be boosting up some more Spoopy content for us. Maybe even take some solo flights out in the Spoopy highway, or the Spoopy airways.
So speaking of that, what do you want to do next? What's
gosh,
what do you want to do next?
Well, I would love to do. I know we've been trying to figure out the logistics and tinker around with this, and I'm not the most tech savvy, but I would love to do a watch along still. That would be
I would
wonderful.
like to do that. We've just got to get Beard to help ensure that we've got all the tech issues because of just the way it's built.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
No, I know. Like I've been trying to
I've watched a lot of videos on how to do it, and it's still not working.
Yeah, like I for me, I was like, well, what if I because I've been tinkering, thinking of tinkering with doing some like gaming streaming and stuff, but even that, like trying to do that not hooked into the computer is like what, and so yeah, but it's weird. Like I feel like a Luddite, but I can also do some other techie things here and there. So it's just, I don't know. There's just certain things that are beyond me. But
enough to be dangerous. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Just enough, just enough to break it.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, man. People, you can find me around here and out and about in the world. If you happen to be in the Ham Lake area, you might see me. Might see me walking about. Otherwise, yeah, I plan to make this my home.
Yeah.
My home it will be.
You can find me here tomorrow for Bad at Games.
Heck
I
yeah.
don't know what I'm playing. I thought about like grabbing a new game, but I think I'm just kind of not wanting to now. There's a One Lonely Outpost came out, and I've had it on my wish list for a while, but I watched it and have read some reviews, and I'm like, do I really need another Stardew game?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. One game I just started it's tough as hell, but kind of fun is there's a new alien in the Aliens universe, Aliens Dark Descent. It's kind of like, what do you call
it's an
is it?
RTS.
Yes, yeah. It's pretty rad.
I've seen really good things.
But it's a brutal game. It's so brutal because you also like not just having to fight xenomorphs.
I watched the cutscenes, and the story looks interesting. Actually.
Oh, great story. Aliens are. Oh, I'll give you an. Oh yeah.
My trip to West Virginia requires the
Fallout 76. I think we could do that crossplay if you ever wanted to. I've got that on my Xbox.
Yeah, Shannon and Richard have promised that they'll take me on a tour of. I've also thought about playing Ravenous Devils, which is like a management game. It's kind of Sweeney Todd-ish, and it's only $5 right now. I've thought about picking that up. It's literally a management cooking villain protagonist gore crime game.
That sounds very fun.
Yeah, it looks really interesting, and I've heard great things about it.
Speaking of games, did you ever finish Dredge?
I didn't finish it, but I haven't played in a while.
That game is terrifying.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten very far either, but the other day I was like, I'll pick up and play a little bit, and I was like, oh, it was nighttime, and I heard the call of a boat out in the fog. I was like, oh, this is another boat out here. I see the light of it. I'll go check. No, don't go check it out.
There's worse things out there than there are massive things out there that sometimes you run into, and you're like, oh God.
Wonderful, because just that moment alone gave me a oh shit. Like it was. Oh man.
I'm thinking about, honestly,
that weren't no boat.
I'm thinking about maybe starting up Pathfinder Kingmaker again.
Yeah.
I don't think it's multiplayer. It's a great game. I got really close to finishing it, and then I was like lost interest for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's single player, but it's a game where everyone on chat would be able to help make decisions, because you literally you've got to figure out like who you trust, who you don't, who you want to like give spots to on your group, who you want to put in charge of things.
Oh, totally.
Who do you want to take on missions? It's a really interesting game, and I love the tabletop RPG Kingmaker like adventure path. I think it's maybe one of the best things that Piazzo did with Pathfinder First Edition. So maybe that, I don't know. Probably something low key, just because maybe we'll go back to Space Haven again, since we had to restart that and get some more adventures of Thicky Steamboat. But I don't know. There'll be something tomorrow afternoon for about an hour, and then of course Sunday for prep school. Prepping D&O, because we got D&O on Monday.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys for hanging out in the present.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for showing up, for hearing us go all over.
It is like horror attention deficit theater, which is
but perfect. Like this is how I talk horror, because you get into one thing and it's like, oh, but did you know this other thing and this other thing, and you can't help it. It's like anything, any love. Once you gotta reference every single point that pops into your head, and it just takes you down a wonderful path of conversation. And hopefully everyone watching enjoyed it. I enjoyed spending this time with y'all. Ben, I always enjoy spending time with you. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
If anybody out there has suggestions for things they'd like to flicks they'd
Yeah,
like to hear talk about, or games, or
anything
comics,
spoopy.
books, anything spoopy. I know that I've forced a lot of ARGs and internet content at Colin of late.
It's the greatest. The Mandela Chronicles.
Mandela
Is that it?
catalog.
Mandela
Mandela
Chronicles gave me nightmares. Only thing that's done that since Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Mandela catalog, Gemini Home Entertainment, Local 58.
Gemini. Oh yeah.
Rita Cardis. I can't think of
Monuments.
the monument theory thing. What's the home one? Welcome Home. And then of course, one of my favorites. Oh gosh darn it! Why did it just run away from me? Oh, Mystery Flesh Pit.
Mystery Flesh Pits. It's disgusting and wonderful. It's so good. It's so good. It's but oh man.
Ooh, we could talk werewolf movies. I do love me some werewolf movies.
Yeah. Oh yes, I could. Yes. Werewolves over vampires any day, my man. Unless we're talking Near Dark.
Well.
But yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Colin, thank you. Think about what you want to talk about, and
for sure.
Those who are on the Books of Face, Colin did a nice little thing that made me cackle real hard during work. I greatly appreciate it. In regards to Spoopy Boys, and
I'll be putting more of those out from now on.
Really
that'll be the way to announce the shows from now on. I think I'll even put those in our Spoopy Boys chat. But yeah, how about next session? If we're not doing a watch along, let's see what them Werewolves of London are doing. Ow! Let's talk werewolves, and we'll hit on our top werewolf movies.
Heard he's knocking on your kitchen door. You better not let him in.
Little old lady got mutilated late last night. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Werewolves of London again.
Leho. Tell me now, Leho Fooks.
Leho Fooks.
I've got a
His hair was perfect. I could. Yep.
That's one of my favorite songs. I've got a Leho Fooks.
I listen to the Best of Warren Zevon at least once a week. Since I was like a wee little lad. That guy's brutal gothic songs are wonderful.
Thank you guys. Have a good Friday.
Have a good night, everybody. Stay spoopy. Stay safe. Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.